So this weekend I went to the DDD Melbourne, which is a software developer conference by developers for developers. How exciting is that?
So one of the first places that we're going to go and check out. Okay, what was the course about building interfaces?
Controversial interfaces.
Yeah, so the first thing is building interfaces.
Controversial effective.
Hey?
Controversial effective.
Controversial apparently. It's going to be very controversial. We're already late. You do have to get your coffee in first before you do anything else, so
Don't blame the coffee, man.
I am blaming the coffee. Blaming the 4 million people that we're getting coffee. Alright. Basically we went into the wrong session. Actually this one was probably more beneficial than the other ones would have been. We're now
It was conversational interfaces.
Right. Well that wasn't something that we well, that was something that we wanted to watch, but didn't quite. Yeah, I was loving the money tree. Which way?
This way.
Down here. Alright. Time to go. We're going to the next one now.
Nearly.
No, you still have to put it on top too. All the way to. You put it on top too, right?
If you put it there, it's going to go down.
You've done it. You've done it.
Nope.
Oh!
Well done, Begav.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So just came out of the AWS Lambda, whatever the speech was, and then now we're going into the quantum computing. We'll go into that one. We're going into quantum computing. That should be pretty interesting. I've got no idea, so it'd be good to actually pick up something new and learn something new. So let's go.
So in conclusion to the software developer conference that I just went to, I just wanted to outline some of the good and some of the bad and why I would recommend for anyone that is a software developer or wants to be a software developer to attend DDD next time. So they only had 350 attendees, so they had to cut it down. There's many people that couldn't attend. There was I think the tickets were sold out. There was 3 rounds, I believe. So the first round sold out in about 2-3 minutes. That's the round that I bought my tickets in, or most people in my organisation. The round 2 was about 2 minutes, and round 3 I don't think it even lasted a minute and a half. So it's very sought after tickets. So you want to get in quick, right? So I'll just go through some of the positives and some of the negatives of the conference. Let's go through the negatives first, because there's basically almost none there. Some sessions were not as described. I mean, it wasn't. Most of them were okay. It was just 1 or 2 sessions that were basically, they could have been described a bit better in the agenda. Not a big deal, but I just thought I'd put that out there. The slightly bigger issue that I found was that some presenters were a little bit antisocial. So what I would do, I would go to the presenters, congratulate them on how well they did their speech, and then I would maybe strike up a bit of a conversation to network a little bit essentially. When I go to these types of conferences, that's what I sort of like to do. I found that the presenters, most of them were fine and they were willing to sort of chat to you afterwards and all that sort of stuff. But there was 1 or 2 presenters that outright didn't want to talk to anyone straight after their presentation, which I found a little bit unprofessional. I think if you are going to be a presenter, have the decency to stay back for those 5-10 minutes and talk to the people that actually wanted to attend your presentation. Otherwise, give someone else that's a bit more enthusiastic that opportunity, and then someone that's actually going to engage with the people that have actually come there. So those are the couple of negatives, and we'll go into the positives. So the positives, largely outweigh the negatives. And I've got them on the list, so I'll read through them. So there was a lot of good information. It was very, very packed information. So the sessions were 45 minutes, and in those 45 minutes, people were just shelling out information like crazy. So you either had to record it or write it down or something, but basically everyone walked away from, in my opinion, everyone walked away from that conference feeling like they've accomplished something, or at least when they go back to work they'll accomplish something, right? And that's exactly what we've done. The other good thing was to be able to meet like-minded people. So there was obviously just software developers there. There was no marketing people, there was no sales people, there was none of that. It was just software developers, and that's exactly what you need, especially from this type of conference. You want to be able to talk to people that speak the same language, essentially. So the other thing that I believe that we've got a lot of benefit from was that we were able to learn a lot of stuff that helped our environment in particular. It was more around asynchronous tasks and all that sort of stuff, which I believe that from what one of my workmates was mucking around with, it will be saving every second per transaction type thing. Like it's something as mad as that. Like it's saving heaps of time just based on what we've learned, that when we fire off a lot of asynchronous threads, we can basically fire off many at the same time and only use the ones that we want to use or need to use. At the moment we're doing stuff asynchronously, but it was sort of going in a linear fashion, and just not knowing, but I suppose being encouraged to work in such a way has opened up a lot of doors in terms of performance, and I think that's going to be very beneficial even with the stuff that we're going to be writing in the future. So I'm definitely putting this one in a notepad somewhere to refer to when we start working on some new modules down the track. They're really, really important. One of the other sessions that I found that was really, really good was a session where I can't remember what I think the presenting's name was Colin or something like that. He went through a bunch of stuff that he went through in his project that worked, that didn't work, and some of the issues that they've had and how they overcome those issues. And I think that was probably one of the most valuable things that we've learned there, apart from the microservices aspect, which I didn't know much about, and I think it was great to learn about that. So that was probably one of the most valuable things, because that's something that you get to learn from other people's mistakes. Mind you, we've made, from all the mistakes that I've seen them make, we've made probably just as many, or not, maybe not just as many, but it was good to learn from other people's mistakes, and it was just good to learn that I suppose the fixes that we've applied were very similar to what other people did. So it reiterates that we're on the right path, and it also reiterates that planning and in advance is very, very beneficial to minimize these things in the future. Now, obviously, if you work on a large project initially, you're going to have these types of issues, but if you work on multiple projects, especially with the same team, that is going to be very beneficial to do those lesson learned type of meetings. Write that down. Next time you do your next project, you're not going to have those same issues. So I think that we're definitely going to be doing that at some stage, and that particular session really hit the spot. It hit the mark. So I'm really, really excited about that one, because we've written down a lot of things there, and a lot of things that we can improve in the future. And there was many other very positive things around all the sessions that we've seen. I mean, so there's too many to essentially list. I think I've sort of mentioned the major ones that we're going to be using. The other one worth mentioning was just the fact that we've learned a little bit more about microservices. We don't have microservices at the moment, or not to that extent anyway, but I think it would be very much worthwhile implementing some. And just the way that it works, it's a module on its own. If you want to deploy it, you deploy it on its own. You don't have to deploy the whole application. It's like what most of the companies are doing at the moment. So microservices is something I think that's that's not mainstream just yet, but it definitely will be. And there's some major companies that are taking it on board now, and I believe there'll probably be a lot more down the track, because it's just a lot easier to maintain, manage, and you can upgrade them independently, and there's just so many positives about it. It's just taking the step in getting the team to actually learn about it first, and investing in that sort of learning curve at the start to get those benefits towards the end.